Danica Gurvalla-Schwartz is the Deputy Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister of Kosovo, and she joins me now here in the studio. Deputy Prime Minister, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for your invitation.
I'd like to start by getting your reaction from the latest reports we're getting from Ukraine, that Russian sources are indicating that Vladimir Putin is ready to freeze the war and maybe have some peace talks, but recognizing the territorial gains that Russia has made since its invasion. What's your country's view on that?
Allow me to be very skeptical about the offers that Vladimir Putin is making, because invading in a neighboring country and waging that brutal war that he is doing with Ukraine is a signal that we need to count on any destruction that Vladimir Putin will be able to do, not only on Ukraine, but on Europe and the West as a whole. So I believe that the only way for this war to end, so that we do not need to fear other repercussions for the other regions in Europe, is to have Ukraine to win this war and to have Vladimir Putin's Russia to lose this war. Every other solution will have strong consequences, not for us in the Western Balkans, but in whole Europe.
What does that look like in reality? What does Ukrainian victory and Russian defeat look like in your view?
It is to have Ukrainian as the whole country state that it has been before the invasion, and to have Russia recognizing that they have lost the war and being able to face the consequences of not only Ukraine but the international community after losing this war.
Do you see things being close to that outcome at this point? I mean, more than 2 years in, it seems Russia it's a seesaw back and forth. President Zelensky is complaining about the slow flow of aid that's allowed Russia to entrench and counterattack. What's your assessment of where that fight is?
It will depend on the solidarity and the help that NATO and other countries who are solidar and supportive to Ukraine will be ready and able to bring, because Ukraine alone will maybe not be able to win this war, but with the help of the West as such, and with NATO and other allies on his side, Ukraine should be able. They have shown us 2022, against all the odds that the war will last just 4 or 5 days, that they are able to defend their country, and for that they have our sympathy and our support.
Well, what I wonder is your assessment of that solidarity in Europe and amongst NATO. I mean, a bit like Ukraine, your country is not a NATO member, but you've applied for rapid NATO membership after the Russian invasion. You're not in the European Union, but you've applied to join the European Union, just like Ukraine has. So you're observing this same dynamic that they are. What is your sense of the solidarity when you look at countries like Hungary, which are being obstructionist inside the European bloc in particular? How concerned are you about that?
So Kosovo is a small country, the youngest European democracy somewhere there in the Western Balkans. But it is a place where a lot of geopolitics do show their influence in very crucial moments like we have that now in Europe. So in Kosovo we do not only aim to join the European Union, but having the youngest people in Europe, having the most pro-European and pro-NATO people in Europe. I need maybe to say that more than 93% of people in Kosovo are supporting NATO membership and European Union membership. And I really believe that it's up to the people in a country to decide about their future, and not on the neighborhood to decide where this country can join, if NATO or not. We had the case with Russia and Ukraine and NATO. We have the case with Kosovo, Serbia being backed by Russia in fighting our ambitions to join the European Union and NATO. And so I really believe that the European perspective, the NATO perspective of countries in the Western Balkans are so important that we need the powerful nations in NATO and European Union to support these ambitions of all countries who want. We do not it's clear that we need a merit-based process, because I know there are discussions if we need some shortcuts. But when the conditions are fulfilled, NATO and European Union need to open the doors for those countries who aim and who are fighting for the same values, the same principles as NATO and EU countries are doing. I know that there should not be place for those countries like Serbia who want to have the money from the European Union to buy Russian weapons and to support Russian ambitions in Europe. But for all the others who are ready to do their homework, it should be its final time to move.
I wonder how you view a country like Hungary and its role in what's happening there. I know there's a meeting of officials in Europe today, and there's a frustration. I think it was Lithuania that said, you know, Hungary has blocked about 40% of the resolutions Europe has tried to pass when it comes to dealing with Ukraine. I mean, what kind of an obstacle does that present to getting to the victory you want to see in Ukraine as a united sort of group of Western countries?
As a foreign minister, you need to be very careful in which words do you use when you describe the decisions of another country. But I strongly believe in the will of Hungarians, of the Hungarian people, to not only to remain in the European Union, but to give a strong positive contribution, not only to Ukraine, but to security and long-term peace in Europe. So before we discuss where the problems are, I really want to commend the solidarity that nobody has expected 2022 that has been shown by all towards Ukraine. So it is not easy, and European Union is a union of 27, and you always have some discussions which way do you choose, and the system of giving veto to everybody, to every one of the 27 countries, is always a challenge. Right. But I believe that this project, the most successful, not only political but economic project in Europe since the Second World War, is a positive one, and all the countries need maybe to do a little bit more to have the solidarity and to have the processes go on in the European Union.
Your country and you personally have given strong shows of public support for Ukraine, even though Ukraine doesn't officially recognize Kosovo's independence since the unilateral declaration of independence from Serbia. How did you land on this position despite the lack of formal recognition of your country by Ukraine?
There are a lot of reasons. First of all, we have experienced 25 years ago a brutal war coming from Serbia, which was a genocidal war against Kosovo, and not only against Kosovo. We have been the last ones. Before the war started in Kosovo, we had the wars in Slovenia, in Croatia, and in Bosnia-Herzegovina. So people in Kosovo remember well how it feels, how the pictures are, and from the first minute when people in Kosovo have seen the pictures in February 2022 in Ukraine, they felt immediately this very emotional solidarity to those people. So this is the first reason. A government should listen to the emotions of the people in the country. The second is all our important partners in NATO and European Union have been showing solidarity as well. So our support for Ukraine is an unconditioned support. We do not set conditions to Ukraine so that we can support them. We have tried to be helpful in each and every field to Ukraine. For example, if you allow me to take just one example, in thinking about how we can be helpful for Ukraine, because Kosovo is a small country with very modest possibilities to help. We have invited 20 Ukrainian journalists to join us in a program that is called Journalists in Residence. So we have 18 journalists from Ukraine in Kosovo who are not only living in Kosovo, but who are using the facilities of our media and who are continuing their work from Kosovo. That has helped not only to inform the world what's happening in Ukraine, but has helped us in the country to understand better what is the essence of this war and how can we all help to bring this war to an end.
Danica Gravalla-Schwartz, Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Kosovo. It's nice to meet you. Thank you for coming in today.